Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here with you again. Today, going to have a look at another great and classic Aerosmith deep cut. This time with Spaced from the band's 1974 album Get Your Wings. The ultimate Aerosmith deep cut, if you will. Because while there is absolutely nothing wrong with this fantastic early Aerosmith track, I can only guess that the band must have had some real disdain for this song, because it's one of those rare tracks that the band has never performed live. Not one single time. Not even on the tour for this album back in 74-75, back when they didn't exactly have a whole lot of original material to choose from for their live sets, what with this being only their second album of original material. Interesting, I thought, as I personally love this track and felt that it was well worth having a look at. So let's do just that. Close in here a little bit, have a look at how to play Spaced by Aerosmith. Alright then, Aerosmith and Spaced from Get Your Wings, 1974. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial. The first 30 seconds or so of this track has just kind of some atmospheric synthesizers before the guitars kick in, and they kick in with a volume swell of this B-flat kind of power chord. Right, just raising the volume of that B-flat power chord. And then we drop into this before dropping into the first verse. Right there, just all major chords. E-flat major off to A-flat major. Right, we're not playing power chords, we're playing full chords, basically on the bottom four strings, right, or the four middle strings. We're not really getting down to the high E. And then we're going to go D off to G. And play the full G chord, right? That's the little lead in before the first verse. E flat off to A flat, D to G. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to let that G ring for 2 bars. And then we drop into the verse riff, which we're going to be repeating 3 times. So we're starting in G major, and then we're dropping into this, I guess we can call this a B flat major with this D note here on the 5th fret of the A string in the root. So it's a bar on the 3s, kind of like a little B flat major triad. The 3s of the D, G, and B string, but we have this D note in the root on the 5 of the A. That chord right there. Now I initially thought this was a B flat major chord, kind of like this. But something sounded off, and then when I fiddled around with it, I found this chord, and that sounds much closer to what the actual studio version sounds like. And like I said, there's no live version of this one, so you can't actually watch what they're doing, right? So I picked this one completely apart by ear, but that sounds close. That chord right there. Right there, right? And then we're going to go D twice, and then into B flat major, right? Strike that 2 or 3 times, and then we're going to drop into F major at the 8th fret position, hit that twice, and then off to D again, hit that D 2 or 3 times, and then off to A. A power chord, let it ring for 2 bars. F, D, A. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, repeat. Off to A, we're going to play that little lick, the second bar of the 2 bars we're hanging in A. 2, 3, 4. Just going to grab the 3 of the 8, pull it off to open, and then catch the 2 middle strings on the upstroke. Kind of like that, right? And then we're going to repeat it a 3rd time, but we're going to finish it differently. We're going to finish it in C, not A. Right here. That ring for 2 bars, and then off to B flat for 2 bars, and then down to D for 2 bars. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And to finish the chorus, we're going to go D, C, B flat, A, G. Right, so that's the chorus. So coming off that C, the 3rd playthrough of the verse riff, right? Let that ring for 2 bars. Then we go off to B flat. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, C, B flat, A, G. And let that ring for 2 bars. Now over top of that, Joe is playing some little lead lines. Nothing too difficult, just kind of playing along with the melody. So when we go off to this B flat and let it ring for 2 bars, Joe is playing this. So a little unison bend here, 5 of the B, 7 of the G. Release it back to 7, 5, 3, 2. Right, and while the rhythm guitar is playing this D to C to B flat to A, to G, Joe is playing this. Just more unison bends, this time 7 and 9 of the B and the G. Right, and then backing it up 4 spots to 3 and 5, and just repeating that one like 3 times. And then the rhythm drops into the big G to finish the chorus, right? So let's just recap that chorus, coming off that final C. Right, and then B flat, down to D, and then D to C to B flat to A to G. Verse. The second verse is only repeated twice, not 3 times, and the very first time we go off to A, he's going to play the same little lick, but he's going to do a double pull off from that 3rd fret of the A, and then catch the 2 middle strings on the upstroke on the 2s, right? And then back to G, to that chord, right? B flat, F, D, C. Then off to B flat. Let it ring for 2 bars. D, D, C, B flat, A, G. Right, and then we're into the bridge. That little progression there, we're going to be repeating, I think, like 8 times with variations. The first 4 times are exactly the same. A power chord twice, and then we're just going to ride along on a palm muted open A string. And then we're going to jump up here to these little chords. This is a G over D. So we have a bar here, a little D major triad on the 7s, right, of the D, G, and B string, but we're going to start with this G chord right here. So our middle finger down here on 8 of the B, ring finger on 9 of the D, and then we're just going to go off to D, right, G off to D. And then we're going to move it up 3 spots into this B flat over F and do the same thing, exact same chord shape. Right? And then you're going to go back off to A after a couple of chugs of that open A and give it a good A power chord, right? And then repeat. Now there's another guitar when we go off to that A, right? Before repeating, playing a little double stop here, a little A major kind of double stop on the 9 of the G, 10 of the B, and giving a little waggle, right? Separate guitar. Right there, instead of going off to A. Kind of like that, right? And then we're going to go off to G after repeating that 4 times. Let it ring for 2 bars, and then right back into that progression again. Twice. Back to G, let it ring for 2 bars, back into the progression again. Like 3 times, and then we drop into this. So more 4 major chords, this time F, off to B flat, right? And then E off to A. And then a quick D into G. And then we're into this. So what we're doing here is holding an A power chord, and then we're grabbing the 5 of the D string, along with the open A actually, and then catching that double stop on the 2 middle strings on the upstroke, right? And then doing the same thing on the 4, right? So backing the 5 off to the 4. Kind of like that. And then the second time you're catching that double stop twice. Right? And then we're playing this little lick. Very quickly. Open A, hammering onto 2, and then doing the same thing on the D string. And then you're going to do a little trill between open G and the 2nd fret. And then back onto 2 of the D, pull it off to open. And you repeat that twice. So kind of like this at speed. After you repeat that 4 times, we drop into this. So we're going to play that little lick, right? And then we're going to move up into this little double stop on the 5s, bouncing off the palm muted open A string, right? 3 times, catching it on the upstroke, and then back to this again. And I think the 4th time we go into D, right, and just chug on that D for about a bar into this. Right into the next verse, right, with that G off to that kind of augmented B flat major chord. So this little lick. So going right up the 5s and 7s pretty much, double hits for the first 4 notes. 5 of the G, 7 off to 5 of the D, and then on to 7 of the A for a double hit. And then we're going to go 6, 5 single notes, and then 8 off to 5 of the low E. Right there, before dropping back into G off to that B flat augmented, right? This twice this time, 2nd time go off to C. Alright, we're closing in on the end of the track here. We're going to go off to B flat again. Let it ring, but now we're not going to go into D. We're going to go back into this lick. Right? That same little progression we were playing a few minutes earlier. And we're going to play this in reverse. Same lick, but in reverse. So we're going to start on the G string with the trill, and then pull off 2 off to open of the D, 2 off to open of the A, and then back to the D string, 2 off to open. Repeated twice, right? Back into that for 3 repeats. And right at the very end of the track, I think we repeat that 3 times. That double stop right on the 5s. And right at the very end, coming off that one final time, we end with this very strange sounding unison bend here, way out of key. 11 of the B, 13 of the G. Gonna hit that like 9 times, slowly raising that 13. And that is the end of the track. And there you go. That is how you play Spaced by Aerosmith from Get Your Wings. Certainly hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you. And we will see you next time. Cheers.